I'm trying to give a little bit of context of why each word is very important. It's political, it has to be an institution, and it has to have power. What's the last part of the definition of beast that I'm missing?
With power, then has adopted
That
the
has
ideology of the woman.
adopted the ideology of the woman. This is great, but this has a lot of implications. What is the implication? That the word beast alone is what? If we go to our symbols, let's go to horse and jockey. What is the beast? According to the definition that we just spoke about, is it the beast 1? Is it the beast 2? What is the beast? If we use these symbols, if we use human and horse, what is the beast?
Horse.
Okay. Someone
Both.
said the horse. Someone is saying the horse. But let's go to the definition again. Let's read it carefully. The beast is a political institution with power that has adopted the ideology of the woman.
Both.
The woman is the beast. It's both.
You can see?
Both.
So it's a little bit confusing because clearly the beast is referencing the animal. But the definition that we were told at ICM is that the beast is not the horse only, it's the horse when it's being controlled by the human. Therefore, the beast is the whole thing. Saying basically, what it basically means is this. There was, if I can grab this symbol, and I can put it here, there was a woman and a beast in Kingdom 1. There was a woman and a beast in Kingdom 2. There was a woman and a beast in Kingdom 3. A woman and a beast in Kingdom 4. A woman and a beast in Kingdom 5. Here is when it gets tricky. What do we have in Kingdom 6?
Only the beast without a woman.
And the beast.
Great. So I'm going to put the beast and the woman in 7. And I'm now basically going to put the woman and the beast in 6. But I will quickly go and erase the woman, the human that was on top. People, what is the difference between 5 and 6 or between 6 and 7? That something happened to the beast. It stopped, let's say, having the woman on top. Everybody sees this or have a different way of seeing it?
Clearly, Pedro, clearly. Thank
Great. Now, what we have just, let's say, unravel here is that we can now go to the point of transition, which is this point in the middle, and we can give it, in an attempt to describe it, we can now use certain words. When I asked you before, and we were talking about dead, or alive, and I said, what is then this waymark with a question mark? You all said it's resurrection because you understood that we were talking about dead and life. But now we're talking about the beast and the woman. And during the kingdom 6, the beast has no woman. The question is, what is this point? What happens here?
someone.
Sorry, I
Marriage.
missed you.
Someone is chosen to sit on the beast.
Okay, someone is chosen to sit on the beast. Okay,
Bringing to life the woman ideology.
bringing to life. I like what, sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly, Bessit said. The woman comes back to sit on the beast. The most basic way of putting it in terms of what we're talking about. If the beast is dead and then it is alive, we basically have just discovered that what makes the beast to be dead or alive is this. What happened when you take out the human?
Dead.
You only have a horse that is doing nothing. In other
Idol.
words, the Bible can say it's dead. It's dead in the sense or the purposes that it was doing before. Basically, what I can do different things. I'm probably manipulating the symbols. What I can do is basically write out, delete the beast. It's not even there because when it has no woman, there is no beast. The beast is now a symbol of these both entities together. And when they working together, they perform the acts and the purposes of the beast that is being told in Revelation 17. Or I could simply say, that's why there's different ways of seeing this, but I think you will all agree that all of those different ways make sense. If I do the beast again, and I put in a different color another woman, see now that is not the same woman. Meaning, the woman in blue, in all of the different kingdoms that I put in here, that woman is the woman of Revelation 17. And the Bible is telling us when that woman is not controlling the beast is dead. So we can erase the beast. Or I can simply say, what if the beast had a different kind of woman? Then we could simply say, well, it's no longer the same beast. It has to be a different beast. or a different, how can we say, a different phase or stage of that beast. This is the part that is not so clearly talked about in Revelation 17. But if I go up, remember when the beast was called lamb and there was called dragon? Here in Revelation 13, it speaks a little bit more about how it is the same nation, but it goes through two different stages or phases. A period when it is good and a period when it is bad. But Revelation 17 doesn't want to talk about the period when the beast is good. That is the work of Revelation 13, lamb. In Revelation 17, it wants to tell us the story of when the beast is bad, which is frankly most of the time. Only during the 6 is when it is dead. And it is dead because it didn't have the woman with the bad ideology on top. So what we have done, people, we have identified using the symbols of Revelation 17 that when that beast that do not have the bad woman of Revelation 17 sitting upon it, when that woman comes again to sit upon it, we can call, and I will erase the question mark, when that event happens, we could say, we arrive to the Sunday law. The same as in 1798, just that the opposite. When the bad woman that was on top was taken out of the beast, we arrive to time of the end. But when that woman comes back again, we arrive to Sunday law 2024. Now, when we've done this, sorry, can you go ahead with the question? Okay. It's okay, Ezekiel. Take your time or write down the question if you want, or even we can talk about those later. One more thing that I wanted to say, because of course there's a lot we could talk about. And you will all have more people coming in from the other speakers who will definitely have more and more details and precise aspects of this teaching. But what I would like to close with is that we have defined that the Sunday law, it's a point of transition. Either if we're speaking about the beast in Revelation 13, when it stops being a lamb and becomes a dragon, we just briefly touch about it. But specifically about Revelation 17 and the importance of defining the symbols of beast and woman and even head. I know I jumped the beat about the head. I want to leave that out for sake of time. But we have at least been able to say something that hasn't been put into words, I think, ever. Not in Adventism, not even in the movement until now, which is the Sunday law is the point in time, the specific point in the history of the nations, when that woman that has been riding the beast but was taken away, whenever that woman comes back to ride the beast, then we could say we have entered into the Sunday law. This is a very, very, very specific way of talking about the Sunday law. Not because it is a law, not because it is something about a topic like Sunday, or not even a topic about equality. It's about when this power, specifically actually entity, gets to control the beast again. Another symbol that is given to us in Revelation 17 is this word: fornication. The one that I have been speaking about in today's presentation was about jockey, driver, riding, human and animal. The part that has to do with the woman on top of the beast is another kind of symbol. I don't know what name we can give it to it. The parable of Calvary or something. But now we also have another type of symbology, parables of relationships, specifically sinful relationships. And here we talk about fornication. I know this is a topic still in development, but the other way to understand what is happening in Revelation 17 is not only through the lenses of a human that is bad, that has a bad ideology, that always wants to ride a specific beast to control and to do its bidding. No, the other way, the other symbol that is also useful is that it is a woman that actually has a bad relationship, a prohibited relationship with a certain power. In this case, it's called the kings. So either if you want to talk about the woman who is riding the beast, or you want to talk about the woman who fornicates with the kings, is still the scene. We're still speaking about the same characters in the real world. So it becomes really interesting because it helps us understand, well, when fornication takes place. So let's do that a little bit. Now that we have talked about this, we need to say, what is the woman? Again, we need to say what it is and what is the beast. This time, I don't want the definitions, the vague definitions that we have given, entity, political institution, none of that. I would like to now speak about what it is today in application. Not parable, not vague definitions, but the actual thing. Who wants to give it a go? What is the woman? What is the beast?
Woman mega.
Someone said woman is MAGA. Any other idea? What is the woman?
Culture.
What do you say? Did you say Trump?
Culture.
Oh, culture. We have culture. Okay, what else?
Manosphere.
Manosphere.
Donald Trump.
Someone say Trump.
Donald Trump.
So I need to clarify, is it Trump or is it MAGA, culture, manosphere?
I agree with Mega.
Manga. Yeah.
So here, I also thought for some time the same way you're speaking, but can we clearly see what is the issue here with the symbols? Remember when we said that a woman, in the most simple terms, is a human? Can a human be culture? No, right? A human
No,
cannot be
yes, no.
culture. A human cannot be MAGA. A human cannot even be manosphere. A human can believe in MAGA or have a specific culture or live by the principles of the manosphere. That I can agree with. A human can do all of those things, but the person or a human cannot be those things. I hope we can see the difference. So we know, even though I understand what you're saying, all of these words here are not entirely wrong. They're actually part of the, well, actually we have the definition, entity with an ideology. What some of you were saying this part. You were telling me this. But I wanted to know about this. The entity. The woman is an entity. So who is the
Trumpism.
woman?
A movement.
Trump.
Okay.
Trumpism.
Ism.
So we have Trump and we have Trumpism. Perfect. Is it the person Trump or is it what is Trumpism? By when you say Trumpism or movement, you mean a group of people?
Ideology.
Oh, ideology, it's those things in here. Those things cannot be the woman because the woman is an entity. Now, the two options that we have here is because someone said it is Trump, but other people are saying it is actually Trumpism. Trumpism being, I don't know, a movement, I guess. That's what I'm asking. When you say Trumpism, do you mean a group of people with an ideology? Is that the entity?
Pedro. Yes.
Okay. Anybody else has any other ideas?
It's Trump.
Polit.
Someone said the person Trump. Okay. So we are divided. Either it is the person of Trump or it is the Trump movement.
Trumpism is a political movement.
Political movement and ideology centered around Trump.
Okay. But you remember that it cannot be ideology. The woman has an ideology, but the woman is not the ideology. I need that to be clear. So if Trumpism is an ideology centered around Trump, that is fine. It is the culture. But we want to define the woman. The woman is not that culture. The woman has an ideology or a culture or a set of beliefs. That is all fine. But the woman cannot be that. So the woman cannot be Trumpism, the ideology. Is that clear? Hopefully it is.
Could you repeat yourself again, Pedro, please?
Of course. What I'm saying is, if Trumpism is a culture, a cult of personality around Trump, that is not the woman. That is probably the culture that the woman has. It could be. But when I say the woman is an entity that has an ideology. So the ideology is not the woman. It cannot be. Is it clear?
Yes, thank you.
For example, well, let's not give examples. I think we're okay with this. So what we now need to define is it the person of Trump or is it the followers, the entity? What do you think? What is the woman? The followers or the person? Someone said the followers in the chat. Anybody else wants to give an opinion?
Trump himself.
Thank you for that. I think it was Erini. Thank you for your opinion. Trump himself. So we're divided. So let's try to, I guess there's different ways to try to understand this. Any of you have heard about the Epstein files?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do the followers want about the Epstein files? We have the Epstein files. What the followers of Trump want?
To be hidden?
No. I think we need to follow the news. Trump followers, they want the release of the Epstein files badly. I'm not saying 100% of the followers. I'm saying a lot of them. What I'm trying to say with this is that Trumpism as a movement, it's extremely big and it's extremely diverse. Some people want one thing, some people want other things. Some people still love Trump, but they want the Epstein files to be released. And only very few people from Trump's movement do not want the Epstein files to be released. You can go on Google and chat and search about that. Trump movement, they want the release of the Epstein files. So what I wanted to say is that if the Trump movement is the woman and they want the release of the Epstein files, and this woman is now controlling the beast, wouldn't the Epstein files be released already? Yes, they would, because the woman controls the beast. 90% of the followers of Trump, they want the release of the Epstein files, but they won't get that ever because they are not controlling the beast. Is my example clear or is it a bit confusing? Because
Yeah.
okay, because I see that some of you thought that the followers did not want the Epstein files to be released. So it is your homework. It's a quick Google search. The big fight that it's been within the MAGA movement. Any of you remember about Charlie Kirk? Big time Trump follower. He wanted the Epstein files. And so many others. So what I wanted to say is that the followers of Trump, they're not controlling the beast. They've been crying out for the Epstein files. And this is the Epstein files is just an example of a way to prove how the Trump movement is not in control of the beast. So if you want to define them as an entity, let's say I accept that. Well, they're definitely not the entity that controls the beast. So we're left with
Trump.
Trump, the person. Let's visit one of our kingdoms. Who is the first kingdom?
Babylon.
Babylon. And who is, remember that we have the same symbol. Who is the woman in Babylon? The entity with the ideology. Bad ideology, by the way.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yes. How do we know that? I'm just going to put Neb because I don't know how to write, spell his name. So Nebuchadnezzar is the woman that is sitting upon what?
The throne, the beast.
Yes, the throne. So you see, Nebuchadnezzar is both the woman, and because the throne is Nebuchadnezzar's throne, the Babylon throne is the beast. How do you know Nebuchadnezzar has an ideology? Do you all remember when he was told by Daniel, whom he trusts a lot, by the way, with the dream? Head of gold, silver, brass, iron, etc. What, after that chapter, what is the first thing that Nebuchadnezzar did?
He built the image with all gold.
He builds it with all gold because he has a specific ideology. I don't care about giving my power away. I will keep it forever. So that is how you know Nebuchadnezzar is the woman. Why is not do you remember the priest of Babylon? The one that Nebuchadnezzar called first to interpret the dream? Do you think those priests and those, I don't know, sorcerers or something, they were in control of the beast? They never controlled, not the throne, not the nation, not Nebuchadnezzar. I'm just giving that as an example because I have heard some people tell me, well, probably the woman was the sorcerers and the priests of Babylon. They were not the entity in control. The entity in control was Nebuchadnezzar himself. And the beast was the throne. If we can separate the two, we actually know that the beast is the two together. Nebuchadnezzar and his ideology with the power of the throne of Babylon. That was the beast. In number one, that was the beast. And yes, Nebuchadnezzar, one day he died, right? Well, guess what? The person that came after Nebuchadnezzar also has an ideology, and it was clearly a very similar one, actually the same one. I'm using this as an example to see in the past, you can have a woman in application going to the literal story. The woman can be a literal person that has a specific set of ideology, and that gets in control of the beast. So when we're saying that Trump is the beast, and we have defined this is something that you need to keep on meditating and ask questions for the next teachers as well, to fully get, all of us fully get established about on this idea. If Trump is the woman, then what is the beast?
His throne, which is republicanism.
It's a good question.
Of Trump.
What was that, Selai?
The ideology of Trump.
Is it the beast?
The woman.
But I'm now asking about the beast. Who is the beast? Remember that the woman we have defined
Yes, the
as Trump.
ideology of Trump is the beast.
So the ideology of Trump is the beast.
Could it be mega as the beast?
Remember, Trump is this little person here. You see this person? This person has the ideology of MAGA, has a culture, believes in the manosphere. Can we see that? This person is the woman, and these things in here is the ideology. The beast is something else. The woman is a human being like this, and it has ideas and beliefs. They are in this circle. They are in their mind. That's ideology. Can we see this? The woman
Yes.
is a person with ideology. The ideology cannot be the woman, and certainly the ideology cannot be the beast. The ideology is something abstract that you believe in. This person believes in a certain ideology, has a certain ideology, but that ideology lives in your mind. Now, this person that has in its mind a certain ideology, they want to sit upon what?
Throne, which is the presidential office.
Okay, we have the presidential office. I see someone there put POTUS, POTUS, which is President of the United States. I think that's a good answer too. This is where we need to go slowly. We don't have time. You will still have more people coming in, but this is the part that we need to go slowly and clearly define each symbol in our heads. The woman is a human. In its most simple terms, we have now decided that this woman today, the bad woman, is the person of Trump. And Trump, in his mind, he has a certain ideas and beliefs that we know is the ideology that he has. Now, this person, Trump, has been walking around as a person. Remember the horse? What can you do without a horse? You're too weak. You can do nothing without a horse. You need a horse to travel. You need a horse to give you power, right? So Trump, the person, alone is just a woman with ideology of Revelation 17. Here in Kingdom 6, he is not on top of the beast. I know this is the other woman, but he needs a beast. In Babylon, for example, Nebuchadnezzar, he had a beast. Remember what was the definition of the beast? Can we read it together? Political institution with power. What does the woman want? She wants a political institution that has power to do things. So Trump is the woman. He has certain ideas and ideologies. He can do nothing with that unless he has control of the political institution with power. How does he will get the power of that institution? How?
With a political
Through election.
party.
Through the elections, by becoming president, right? If he becomes the president, he will have the power. That is the issue. If he has the presidency, he will have the power. He will be now the woman, the human seated upon the beast, being able to control and do things. That is what we want to see. So the beast, as someone said, hey, when you become a candidate for the presidency, what will you be given if you win?
Power.
Power? But specifically, you're given an office.
Throne.
People, by office, I don't mean the literal walls and chair of the White House, although it is there. But if tomorrow the White House is destroyed, the presidency will still exist. They will have to go to a different location, but the office will still exist. Do you all know what a CEO is? The chief executive. It is an office that is given to you, not specifically a place, is that you are in charge. That we can call
Title.
the title. Oh, thank you so much. So he wants the office of the president. In other words, he wants a title. He wants to be the person controlling that institution. By institution, people, be careful with this. By institution, we mean the office. You're in charge of several people. You have a staff. They do things for you. You have a lot of power. And that's where Trump is seated. He has the title of president. He's sitting upon the office of the president. So he's the woman that wants this office. And in order to get that office, you need to run for president.
elected.
After you run for president, you need to win the primaries. After you win the primaries, your party, the party that you win the primaries on, have to select you. And when the party selects you, you can then run officially as president. You will either lose or win. You will win the election. And in January, you will actually sit in the office. Am I being clear?
Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect. So this is where the controversy arrives. When does the woman sit upon the beast? Literally. In the literal world, when does Trump, I'm now translating, when does Trump sit on the office, on the chair of the president?
2016.
2016 if is the increase of knowledge way before the Sunday law. But now, when? I didn't hear you, sorry.
January
When
6th.
January 6.
Not January 6th.
July 18, 2024.
No, July 18 is back here.
January 20th, 2025.
Perfect. In January 20. This is when Trump officially sits on the chair, and he is sitting upon the beast in very literal terms. This is about the beast having a driver. But if we bring up the other symbol that we talked about, remember this word? Fornication. If we bring fornication, what January 20 will be in the symbology of fornication?
Action.
Action. Someone could say sleep, right?
Adults.
The actual act, the act of adultery. The act of adultery happens in January 20th of 2025. And this is in the story of fornication. When does Jesus defines fornication happening? During
When
the
you think,
act or before?
in your thoughts.
It
Before.
happens in the mind.
In
If
mind.
you thought, if it happens in your mind, if you decided in your mind that you were going to commit adultery, then the fornication happens, and this is the prophetic adultery, as Jesus would define it. This is how we jump from January 20th. You all can see clearly that literally Trump sits on the chair of president in January 20th. That's how the Constitution says. But when did Trump, the woman, committed adultery in the mind with this,
At the RNs.
with the chair? I have a lot more to say because a chair is not a person, right? We need a little bit more of work to get to that. But I'm happy that we have advanced this far to define that we know the literal fornication and the literal sitting upon the beast happens here. But there is something in the word fornication from the Bible itself that tells us there's something that happens in this relationship before the act is committed. And this makes us jump back. And there is a reason why we jump back to July 18th. I don't have time to explain why July 18th. I would like to stop here. I think we have 8 minutes of questions. If any of you have any questions, feel free to ask, or George, let me know how we go about this.
Thanks, Pedro.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Pedro, for your enlightening presentation. I think if you could just close with the word of prayer, then we just go on. Would you like that, or we just continue with question and answers? Then you pray one go.
Yeah, we can pray after questions.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just giving the floor to anyone. If you have any questions to ask Pedro. This is the time that is given to you. Please just unmute and ask your questions, or if there are any comments or something you want to say. The floor is open now.
Feel free to ask.
I
if
just
there's
have a
any
comment, Pedro.
Okay, please go. Yes.
So 18th July was the day that the name Donald Trump was accepted as a candidate
That's right.
as election. So can I call that the start of fornication? The beginning?
Exactly. That would be the moment of fornication. There's a reason for that I haven't got the time to get into, but we need to find a moment that is not the literal moment when Trump sits on the chair. That would be the what we would symbolize as the literal act of adultery. But if it happens before, symbolically, we know adultery begins in the mind. How can we go from something that happens in the mind in symbology to the actual game of politics, the rules of politics? There has to be a moment when Trump is, let's say, flirting with the chair. And what we have identified is that prior to July 18th, constitutionally, by law, Trump, the person, is not flirting with the chair because he is not a candidate. According to the laws, a candidate can only become a real candidate after a major party selects you, approves you, and he was approved in July 18. See it like this. In August, I don't remember the date, Kamala, she was also selected as candidate, right? Everybody knows this, right?
Yes.
The Democratic convention happens in August. The Republican convention happened in July. Let's say, people, that Trump was not in the in the Republican Party. This is just a hypothesis. Imagine for a moment that actually Trump was part of the Democratic Party and he was announced president in August. But Kamala, she was the candidate of the Republicans. So Kamala would be here. When do you think the fornication happened in this hypothesis?
August.
August.
In
August.
August. Why? Because Trump is the woman with bad ideology. And Kamala, it's a woman with what?
Good.
Good ideology.
Good ideology. Very easy. If she was elected in July 18th, Kamala would not be the woman of Revelation 17 because she has the good ideology. The good ideology of all other presidents before her. And Trump would be flirting with the chair lawfully, legally, only when he is approved and selected and nominated is the right word, nominated by the party. But we know this is, of course, not what happened. Kamala is actually a Democrat and Trump is a Republican. But this exercise that I just did is very important because this tells us that there's two protectors, two gatekeepers, the Democrats and the Republicans. And in order for the bad woman to come to ride the beast, she needs to conquer one of those two gatekeepers. It could have been the Democrats, but not. It came from the Republicans. I know there's a lot of work about that. We know about 2014. We know about Mitch McConnell, and we know about the process. We have a lot of stories and prophecy about it. Elder Tess dedicated many of her time doing that to get us to this point where in July 18 of 2024, the bad candidate, the bad woman with a bad ideology, she was able to become nominated to be the president. Trump became nominated, the actual nominee, and now he's flirting. He has legal right to, let's say, have contact with the chair, not literally, but he's a real candidate. That's why we understand. This is one of the reasons. I know I didn't have time. This is one of the reasons why it has to be July 18th. There's more to say about that. I hope that answers a little bit of some of the questions that you made. I think I forgot who asked the question, but thank you. If there's, is there any other question? Feel free to ask. I know how much time you all have, but I'm okay if you have any more questions.
Just a question, Pedro.
Yes.
Yeah, just a question. I don't mind to be rude when asking this question. I have not been following your presentation, but the question is, when Elder Terry brought up July 18th as the Sunday Law Waymark, was there, like, did you agree with her, or did you have your specific dates for that? It's just a question.
I don't. That's a great question, and I think that's part of why I'm here. I'm here to tell you about also my own experience. So, if I could put it in simple terms, this is not entirely true because we didn't have all of the symbology of the woman and the beast sorted out. But a good way to understand it, let's say that what I thought the Sunday law was the moment when Trump takes office, when he really sits upon the beast. He's really riding the beast, and now he has the power. Remember when we said this is the point, the transition? When the beast has no woman, when it has a woman, I went to the literal constitutional date for when that happened. I went to January 20th. What I didn't know, and I came to accept, is that this act can be defined in a different way. There are many reasons why it's not July 18th. We're focusing only on Revelation 17. But for sake of time, I thought it was the literal moment of January 20th. By the time I was at the ICM, just a few months back, I was able to see and understand the arguments of Elder Terry and also the arguments that were brought up later during the camp to understand that it happens before. not on January 20th. In January 20th, it happens literally, but there is something that happens before. In the mind, if we can use the parable of adultery, there's something that happens in the mind with the ideology, and that is something that we can only mark using July 18th. So short answer to your question, no, when she brought up her message, I would still have doubts. I also had doubts about my own study. I was never 100% sure. I was open-minded, and I remained open-minded until I was able to see why I was wrong and why Elder Terry was correct.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other question?
Pedro, another word that we have used or I've heard from Ariane and Curtis, the word adopted, the definition of the woman.
Yes.
And Elder Terry wanted us to use the word the woman being controlled, not adopted, controlled by the woman to enforce the woman's political ideology.
Okay.
Instead of using the word adopted, we have to use the word controlled. That's just my observation. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great way of putting it. We could say that the beast adopted the ideology, but probably a more accurate way to say it is that the beast is controlled by the ideology of the woman, or probably just by the woman herself. So I think there's some flexibility in these terms, but I like the point that you're making. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Perfect. If you allow me a very brief recap, we talked about our reform line. We talked about how the Sunday law is the middle waymark, and we can now call it the national Sunday law. And it is a point. It is also the beginning of a period. And we have moved from believing the Sunday law being a law or even being about Sunday to be something that has to do with a turning point, a transition point from either, we could say, one kingdom from another, or we could say a change that happens in a specific kingdom, specifically the USA. One way to understand that, we use Revelation 13 when it is a lamb and transitions into a dragon. We then talked about Revelation 17 when this beast that has always had a woman on top, a rider, a jockey on top, during Kingdom 6, it had no woman. So there was no beast in the definition that we believe. We could say a lot more about that, but that is in simple terms. So when this beast gets to have a woman on top again, that is the Sunday law. The moment when this woman controls the beast again. But that is still too simplistic, because another symbol is given in the Bible for this moment, not only when the woman sits on top, but actually when the woman commits fornication with that king or that beast. And by the symbol of fornication, we understand through Jesus and the Bible and a very well-known verse that it happens before the act. The actual fornication happens before the act. So in January the 20th, Trump was literally the president of the United States, but the adultery happened before. And if it happened before, we need to understand the laws that govern the transitions of power and the election cycle. When would this woman be really candidate for the office? Only when the party nominates this candidate. This candidate is Trump. Trump is the woman, and the chair or the office of the president is the beast that he wants. And he started flirting, having adultery in the mind. This is symbolic, of course, only when he becomes the nominee. So we understand that is the point of fornication. He later, of course, would do the rest, would commit the act, would do certain things. But the point of transition, according to the Bible and prophecy, is fornication, and it starts in the mind. This is a very, very summarized way of getting to this point. I hope it was a blessing for me too. And I invite you all to close with a word of prayer. Dear God in heaven, we thank you especially for the tremendous privilege of belonging and being part of this work. We don't fully understand all of your purposes and what you want to do, but we have enough light to know that you want us to be part of this movement, that you want us in however our capacities to be able to work for you and for this institution, which is our message. Your message helps us not to be discouraged, because you're not expecting us to be able to do everything and anything, but be here and do whatever our capacities allows us to provide and to work and to encourage others and to build up this institution. Helps us understand that you have an important purpose and that we may be faithful. Help us to understand prophecy, which is the job that we were given. Thank you for this privilege. Thank you for the people in Fiji. Please bless them and continue helping us. Bless our leaders. Bless our elders. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.